I apologize for making a third video. I just wanted to break it up a little bit more easily for you. We'll talk about the post-Talmudic era now, the generations that came after the time of the Gemara, so after the Amoraim. We have the Zaboraim, who we know very little about. We know they existed because the Gaonim talk about them, but we're not sure what they did. They may have done some additional editing to the Gemara. We're not sure 100%. Follow them. You just have to know that they existed. Following them is the Gaonim, who headed the great yeshivot of Sura and Pumbedita. Much of the history of the Talmud and the post-Talmudic era, we know really because of them. Among their accomplishments, and what you should know is that during their time period, the first Perushim on Chumash appear. Rav Sadia Gaon and Rav Hai Gaon wrote Perushim on Chumash. They're among the first to appear before the likes of Rashi and others. They were really the pioneers in that era. There are other things they did as well. They wrote Perush on the Sidur as well. So there are a number of innovations here in the time of the Gaonim. Following the Gaonim was the period of the Rishonim and the Achronim. In the Rishonim's time, there are two camps. There's Ashkenazim, there's Sfaradim, and there are two types of major works of literature that they wrote, both commentaries on the Gemara, as well as Sifrei Halacha, which we'll talk about a little bit. We know Rashi's commentary on the Gemara and the Tosafot's commentary on the Gemara. That's what's on our page. There are many others as well. And Sifrei Halacha were also written at that time, Rishonim like the Rambam and others who wrote works of Halacha. In the Achronim, their major contribution really is in terms of the corpus of Halacha. The Shulchan Aruch is really on the border there. He's considered the first Achron. And again, we'll talk more about the Halacha in a moment. In terms of Halacha codification, I think that this is the final stages, so to speak, of Torah Sheba'al Peh, as we're following down from the Psukim through what Moshe passed down, what was debated amongst the Tanaim and Amoraim, and all the way down till practically, do you know what we do today? Where's Halacha codification, books of Halacha which were written. And there are a number of stages that it went through. The Rif, Rav Alfasi, was the first really to write a halachic or make a halachic work, at least in my opinion. What he did is he's published in the back of the Gemaras. He basically abbreviated the Gemara, took out the stories, took out what he felt were irrelevant conversations, and basically tried to just have the halachically relevant portions of the Gemara. So that really is the first step in the halach codification. Rambam is the first major step taken. He wrote a comprehensive guide to halacha, 14 books called the Yad HaChazakah, Yad as in 14. It's also called the Mishnah Torah, the second Torah, because the Rambam felt you can go straight from Chumash, from Torah Shebachtav, to his book. And you don't need to learn the Gemara, you don't have to learn anything else in between. And the Rambam covers all areas of halacha. It's organized topically. So all the things in one topic are together. So for example, Kiddusha, I think we may have mentioned this in class when we talked about halacha. Kiddusha, both kashrut and appropriate or inappropriate sexual behavior, all in the same book. Those are all things that lead to are in the same realm in terms of Kiddusha. So that's the Rambam. He wrote about everything. Following the Rambam, the Torah is the next major step. Rav Yaakov ben Asher, the son of the Rosh, he's the first to organize what I call modern Sittim codification. Again, there's nothing really modern about it, just that it's what the modern day poskim use, the Shulchan Aruch after him as well. He splits all of halacha, the corpus of halacha, into 4 books. Now these books only deal with the halacha that's relevant today. So the Rambam wrote about everything. He only wrote about that which is relevant today. Orach Chaim, again, I know we spoke about this in halacha class. Orach Chaim, which basically deals with the activities of daily living, from when you wake up in the morning until you go to sleep at night, from washing your hands to going to the bathroom to tefillah and tzitzit and tefillin, etc., as well as Shabbos and the holidays. Your day is kind of the Mishka Babel. It's kind of the miscellaneous one that has things like kashrut and milah and the halachot of mourning, the halachot of nidah, the halachot of shchita, of shechting, and all the things having to do with kashrut, basar b'chalav, ta'arov, things that we'll learn later on in the year in halacha. Even HaEzer deals basically with women, halacha that have to do with the relationship between men and women, in other words, marriage and divorce primarily. And Choshen Mishpat is anything that might lead you to the courtroom. All the laws of being a witness, being a judge, of transactions, etc. Rav Yosef Karo wrote really 2 things. He wrote a commentary on the Torah called the Beit Yosef, which was very, very long, and he abridged it to the Shulchan Aruch because he wanted to have a book of halacha that you could review the entire book, all of halacha, in 1 year. It is still very long, but that was his abbreviating the Beit Yosef into Shulchan Aruch, and he follows the same organization as the Torah in terms of the Siman and Seif, etc., not the Prakim and the system that the Rambam uses. Rav Moshe Isserlis, the Ramah, did the same thing. He's very parallel to Rav Karo on the Ashkenazic side. He wrote a commentary on the Torah called the Darkei Moshe, and he was in the middle of abridging his book into a Shulchan Aruch-like book, but Rav Yosef Karo beat him to it. So what he did is he just wrote the mapah, the tablecloth, if you will, to the Shulchan Aruch, but just has the areas where he felt the Ashkenazic practice was different from that which the Shulchan Aruch wrote, although most of the time he agrees with the Shulchan Aruch. And finally, in terms of halakha codification, in the world of Ashkenaz, we have the Mishnah Brura, Rav Yisrael Meir Kagan, otherwise known as the Chavetz Chaim. It's another book that he wrote, who is known as the final word really in halacha for most Ashkenazim. And following that is really responding to individual halachic situations that come up based on new technologies, etc., or based on situations. In America, the great posek was Rav Moshe Feinstein, the Igor Moshe, and in Israel, Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, who wrote the Minchat Shlomo. Again, these books are very important to know because they are extremely monumental in terms of what they represent. There are many books of Shilos and Shuvas, many books of Responsa, but these are the most important to know, the most famous on the Ashkenazic side. And in the world of Sfard, there's Rav Avad Yosef, who just passed away this past year. He really is all of those things wrapped up in one. The combination of the Chavetz Chaim and Rav Moshe Feinstein and Rav Shlomo Zalman, etc. He wrote the Yalkut Yosef, which is a comprehensive guide to Sephardic halacha, which is even more detailed than the Shulchan Aruch and has more situations, more modern situations as well. And he wrote 2 different books of responsa, Yechavedat and Yebia Omer, some published by him, some published by his students and his children. And that really rounds out the major works of halacha. So if you look all the way from the beginning, where we talk about Moshe receiving on Har Sinai the entirety of Torah, down to the halacha codification today, you have the full picture of what it means to have Torah Sheba'al Peh, and hopefully this will serve as an appropriate introduction to understand the corpus of Torah Sheba'al Peh, the corpus of halacha.